It's time for the regular season finale. Cardinals battling the Cubs this weekend in St. Louis for the final 3 games of the regular season as the Cardinals look to fine-tune some things before the playoffs start next Wednesday in the wild card game. We're breaking down this series as well as talking about what actually can we learn from these 3 games on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Cardinals for Friday, October the 1st. I'm recording this on Thursday, so my apologies there. But happy Friday, everybody. Happy October. So if you're watching on YouTube, no, I did not sleep in my clothes and record in the same outfit. I'm recording this, as I just mentioned, on Thursday. So busy day on Friday, so we're getting ahead of the schedule. Didn't have time to change the shirt. Busy week here at the University of Missouri for me. I am Lucas Smith, host of the Locked On Cardinals podcast. You can find my Twitter at LJ Fastball. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Cardinals. St. Louis just finished up a series win over Milwaukee. If you missed that episode, because it was released after the game yesterday, head over to your favorite podcasting platform after this, and you can hear my breakdown on my thoughts of that series there. We're brought to you in part today. The title sponsor is Spotify Green Room. Go ahead and download the Spotify Green Room app and find one of our Locked On rooms. It's hard to believe almost, but this is the regular season finale as the Cardinals are battling the Cubs in St. Louis, as I mentioned. And it seems like an eternity ago the Cardinals were opening up the home portion of their schedule against the Milwaukee Brewers all the way back in April. A lot has happened since then. I've become a college senior. The Cardinals are now in a playoff spot. The Cardinals now have a 17-game winning streak underneath their belts. And just the season has been full of ups and downs. We'll be retrospective. We'll look back on the season, adding another time. Now the Cardinals continue having to look forward as the postseason is very close. The Major League Baseball announcing that the wild card game for the National League will take place at 7:10 Central Standard Time. So 7:10 local would be the way to put that, since it is 7:10 Central local time. Would be 5:10 over there in either Los Angeles or in San Francisco. Still TBD, but 8:10 Eastern would be the defining way to put it. Sorry about that. But nevertheless, Cardinals still have some business to take care of against the Chicago Cubs and some fine-tuning to do, as I said. So let's go ahead and get right into it as the Cardinals have their starters announced for this series. The Cubs, as of this recording Thursday night, do not. But that's okay. We're Cardinal focused here. We'll talk about the Cardinal starters. And the first one is interesting. The first one is Dakota Hudson, as he is making his second appearance of 2021. His only other appearance went 3 2/3 of an inning against the Chicago Cubs. Was tagged for 2 earned runs, gave up 4 hits, did not give up a home run, and struck out 2 in that outing of relief against the Chicago Cubs. This is his first start of 2021, coming off of Tommy John surgery last season. We're not sure what we're going to expect from Dakota Hudson. I know that Mike Shildt has said somewhere between 70 and 75 pitches, so you'd have to think anywhere from 5, maybe 6 innings if he's really efficient, maybe closer to 4 to 5 innings. At this point, this weekend is going to be about getting people work, getting guys like Dakota Hudson work, getting guys like Jack Flaherty some work, some fine-tuning, some ready to go. Because you've already got your starter, Adam Wainwright, lined up. He's not going to make another start this weekend. He's going to be your starter for the wildcard game. Talked about that on yesterday's show. Talk about it a little bit more on today's. But if you missed the rotation lineup, it's Dakota Hudson tomorrow, as I have already mentioned. 7:15 Central, the first pitch. 6:15 is the time for Saturday's game, John Lester making that start against Adrian Sampson for the Chicago Cubs. And then the Sunday matinee, a little bit later than a matinee, I suppose, at 2:15 Central Time is going to be Jake Woodford versus Alec Mills. Alec Mills, the author of the no-hitter a number of years ago. But the Cardinals have 3 starters going that are just going to, one of them, and Dakota Hudson, just trying to get some work. John Lester is going to look to rebound after a tough start against the Chicago Cubs, and Jake Woodford is going to try and prove himself, in my opinion, to make the Major League roster. I'm not saying he should, but that's what he's going to try to do. He's going to try and prove himself to make the roster. That's what his start's going to be about on Sunday. For Dakota Hudson, you're looking at how he's progressed. How has he progressed from his last start, from his rehab starts down in Memphis? Where is he at? What can we expect from him in the postseason? That's the question that I'm looking for to get answered in tonight's game on Friday. Can we expect 4 to 5 or 5 to 6 innings from him and less than 3 earned runs, or is it more of 3 to 4 innings and we'll see if we can even go that far with him? Who knows? Last time out, we saw 3 2/3 of an inning in his first major league action of the 2021 season, and we'll have to see what he can do from that. It's all about building off of that start. We saw some good things from Hudson. I was at that game that he pitched. He pitched effectively. He was able to eat some innings for the St. Louis Cardinals in a start that you knew you were only going to get at most 2, but most likely 1 inning from Jack Flaherty. You didn't even get that, so Hudson was able to eat some innings, and one of those earned runs that I mentioned, he wasn't even on the mound to give up. It was somebody, an inherited runner scored on a sacrifice fly. That was the damage was limited. So Dakota Hudson really can build off that. He's got some stuff to build off of from his most recent start, and that's what he's going to look for to do against the Chicago Cubs. When you look at the Cubs roster against Hudson with the recent, I guess it's not recent anymore, but the fire sale that happened this year, there's not a lot of experience on this Cubs roster against Dakota Hudson. The guy with the most at bats is Ian Happ, and he's surprisingly has bad numbers against Hudson, 1 for 7 for a 143 batting average. Wilson Contreras is 1 for 5 against them. Everybody else, Nico Horner is 0 for 5 against them. Everybody else has 2 or less at bats. This is according to MLB.com game day page. So Dakota Hudson will look to use the small sample size he has against this Cubs roster, because a lot of new faces, a lot of guys that Dakota Hudson wouldn't have seen even last year because he was out due to injury. So this is something that, or out late last year due to injury, I beg your pardon. But still, a lot of these guys would not have been on the team last year just because you had a Bryant, you had a Rizzo, and a Baez. So those are 3 positions right there that are occupied by new faces. So that's going to be possibly a challenge for Hudson, but I've always thought the first time around, the first time you see a pitcher, advantage goes to the pitcher. So Dakota Hudson will most likely have an advantage. And I'm a big fan of Dakota Hudson's game. I love the sinker-slider combination, gets ground balls. When he's right and when he's healthy, he's going to go deep into a game, or has the ability to go deep into a game. He can get you a double play ball. That's what made him so efficient out of the bullpen in his first season, is that he was able to get ground balls. He was the TJ McFarland of his day, maybe a little bit better than TJ McFarland, but nevertheless was able to produce a ground ball when he needed to. That's what that is his strength. That heavy sinker is going to get him some ground balls. And if the Cardinals have their stellar defense out there, which they seem to night in and night out at this point, then you got to feel pretty good about Dakota Hudson's chances on Friday. Offensively, I don't think you're going to see a fully regular lineup for the rest of this series. Therefore, for the rest of the season, I think you're always going to see at least 1, maybe even 2 or 3 guys get days off. I'll talk about some guys that I want to see play coming up here in a little bit. But offensively, it's just going to be trying to continue to get reps, try and perform a little bit better than they have the last 2 days. It's hard to be too negative right now with this Cardinal team, but in all honesty, getting shut out on Wednesday and only, producing a small number of hits yesterday, or today rather, on Thursday, is kind of upsetting, to be honest, from the offensive standpoint. Yes, they did score 4 runs and got the win, but only mustered up 5 hits in Thursday's game. So from the offensive perspective, for the whole weekend, I'd like to see them take better at bats and kind of get back into that September mojo, if you will, to finish out the regular season. But really looking forward to see Dakota Hudson on the mound tonight on Friday. He's going to be looking to improve. All he's got to do, take the next step he's not even on a rehab anymore because he's in the major leagues, but take the next step on the road to getting back to the level of excellence that he has shown us in the past. So that's what we're looking for on Friday. No Cubs starter announced as of this time for Friday for who they're going to start. So we'll see who they throw out. There could be a bullpen game. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break in the action to tell you about the best tasting protein bar. But when we come back, I'll break down the latter of the 2 games of this series. And then in segment 3, talking about how I want the Cardinals to kind of go about this final 3 days of the regular season. So that coming up here in just a moment. But first, as I mentioned, I want to tell you about the best tasting protein bar in the business, and that is Built Bar. They have 9 incredible, delicious flavors, including the occasional limited time flavor. Here are the 9 regular flavors that you don't want to miss out on: coconut, cherry barcia, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, German chocolate as well. My favorite flavor, the double chocolate. I just put in an order for a new box because I ran out of mine the other day. They're all incredibly healthy, even though they're covered 100% in chocolate. You're getting the best of both worlds. Great tasting with the chocolate on every single bar, but they're healthy as well. 17 to 18 grams of protein, calories ranging from 130 to 180, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Order today. If you don't know which flavor to get yourself a mixed box. That is 2 of each of the 9 flavors, so you can try them all. Built Bar is also the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. And I'll give you another reason to get Built Bar. You can save some money with this promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15. LOCKED15 gets you 15% off your order at Built.com. LOCKED15, 15% off. They're healthy. They taste good. You can save some money. 3 reasons to get yourself some Built Bars. So head over and use promo code LOCKED15 today to save 15% off your order at Built.com. Saturday and Sunday, see the Cardinals sending out left-hander Jon Lester and right-hander Jake Woodford. Jon Lester coming off not really a great start against the Chicago Cubs, his former team. His return to Wrigley probably didn't go as planned, or did not go as planned for Jon Lester. His final line in that start that the Cardinals obviously come back and won because it was during their winning streak, ended up being 5 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs. He walked 3 and struck out 6. So was it terrible, end of the world? Oh my gosh, what did Jon Lester just do? No. But again, you like to see closer to the 6 innings, 2 earned runs that he had his previous 2 starts against the Brewers and the Mets. Can't get it every time out, but Jon Lester will be looking to kind of right the ship here in his start on Saturday. The nerves, in my opinion, are probably what got to him on Saturday, or in his most recent start against the Chicago Cubs, which was last Saturday in the Victory Blues. So I think that the fact that he has a start against the Cubs underneath his belt, and the fact that he's pitching in St. Louis, where its crowd's going to be cheering 100% for him, not just clapping for his return, but those 2 factors I think are going to help him in the start. To say that, okay, you've done this before, now it's time to go out there and do a job and get outs and pitch well for your team, which right now is the St. Louis Cardinals. Had a great career with Chicago, had great moments with Chicago, helped bring a championship back to Chicago. That's all fine and well. I'm not trying to be too negative or harp on anything with Jon Lester, but I will say that this next start on Saturday, you'd like to see it be a little bit better. Obviously, even if the Cardinals do find a way to quote unquote stumble into the playoffs via losing the series or getting swept or however you want to say it, if they do stumble in, they're still in. And that is a huge positive. And that's the only thing that we can ask for at this point. They're in, and that is a huge positive. Anything can happen once you get in, but you still want these guys to be on a high note once they get in, which is why I think it's such a huge thing that Dylan Carlson is but Dylan Carlson's getting hot right before the postseason starts. He is a huge bat that you want in this lineup going at the right time. When this lineup is going, it's deadly. We've seen that even beyond just a 17-game winning streak. When this lineup is going, it's going really well. So that's what you want to see from the pitching staff as well. Jon Lester needs to right the ship a little bit, go 6 innings, give up that less than 3 earned runs that we've talked about, and I think that he can do that. This is not a very dangerous Cubs lineup at all. At all. No disrespect to anybody on that roster, but when you match it up, this is one of those, even on paper, the Cardinals are the superior team. Chicago just, again, if you want to talk more about the Chicago Cubs downfall, we can spend some time on another podcast talking about that, but this is not the same Cubs team the Cardinals were playing back in May or even in June. This is a Cubs team that is reeling hard, that has hit on some tough times after the trade deadline. So hopefully Jon Lester can take advantage of that. When you're looking at the Cubs numbers against Jon Lester, again, because this one is because of the Lester playing on the Cubs, but also the fact that there really aren't many guys on the roster that have been here a long time. Slim pickings. Sergio Alcantara is 2 for 3. David Bodie's 2 for 3. Wilson Contreras is 4 out of 6. The only other one with more than 6, or only 2 more than 6 with at-bats are Matt Duffy and Trace Thompson. Trace Thompson has 8 at-bats and Matt Duffy has 7. Jon Lester's only given up 1 home run to anybody on the Cubs roster, according to this the MLB.com game day page, and that home run came to Wilson Contreras, who's 4 for 6 in his career against Jon Lester. So, again, they did see him before, just like they saw Dakota Hudson before, but with the overall lack of experience against Jon Lester, advantage Lester, especially with how crafty Jon Lester could be, and he's been around a long time, so he's had to adapt. He has had to not necessarily change the way he pitches, but he's had to face people many, 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 many times that have seen him before and kind of change the game plan and roll with the punches. So we'll see if Lester can do that on Saturday. Sunday, as I mentioned in the open, or before we get to Sunday's game, the Cardinals will be facing against Adrian Sampson. His most recent time out was a pretty solid outing against the Cardinals, in all honesty. 6 innings, 3 hits, gave up just 2 earned runs, and struck out 4 back on the 25th of September. These guys matched up on that 25th of September start. And Sampson looked pretty good. He impressed for the most part. He was one of the few Cubs pitchers that weekend that did impress. So the Cardinals will have to look to do a little bit better job against Sampson. Slim pickings again. Nobody with more than 5 at-bats on the Cardinals team. Harrison Bader is 4 out of 5. Paul Goldschmidt's 0 out of 5, as well as Yadier Molina. Everybody else is 4 or less. A home run by Harrison Bader against Sampson and a home run by Tyler O'Neill against Mr. Sampson are the 2 big blows that Sampson has given up. But nevertheless, Cardinals will just have to try and do a little bit better job, find some holes in the defense to face off against Sampson a little bit better, because they got to the bullpen in that Saturday start on the 25th is how they won that game. And then Sunday, the final day of the regular season, Cardinals first game starts at 3:05 Eastern, and then there's just a slew of games starting in that 3 o'clock Eastern hour. Every game will start. The latest the game will be at 3:20 Eastern. That's the Mets and the Braves. Cardinals fit in there right at 2:15 Central, 3:15 Eastern. And as I mentioned at the top, Jake Woodford, in my opinion, is going to be fighting for a playoff roster spot. Because especially now that you've got Michaelis back, it's been a while, he's going to get a spot. You've got Dakota Hudson, you've got Jack Flaherty. So Jake Woodford is going to be scratching and clawing for a playoff roster spot. Sunday's going to be, in my opinion, one of his is going to be his last chance to do it if the Cardinals even wait that long to make a decision on a playoff roster. So Jake Woodford is going to have to do everything he can. Going to have to bring his A game to impress Mike Shildt and the pitching staff. And I'm not saying that he's been unimpressive this season, but I'm also not saying he's been so impressive that you have to find a spot to get Jake Woodford on your roster. Some of you might be listening or watching right now and saying there's no way Jake Woodford's on my roster no matter what. I understand that. But when you look at his last 3 starts, they haven't been terrible. I would even argue his most recent one was very good. 4 innings, 2 earned runs against the Mets. That's not terrible. 5 innings of shutout baseball against the Brewers. That's pretty solid. 5 1/3, just 2 earned runs against the Chicago Cubs in his most recent time out. He was able to get through, didn't have necessarily his best stuff, but pitched well overall. So Jake Woodford, I think, that is someone that could help contribute to this Cardinal team in the future. You could argue it could be trade bait in the future. But Jake Woodford, I don't think we've seen the last of Jake Woodford in a Cardinal uniform, even if he doesn't make the postseason roster, because I think that he could still contribute when called upon. And Cardinals will be facing off against Alec Mills, author of a no-hitter last year. In his most recent outing on the 28th of September, went 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Alec Mills has not thrown a no-hitter recently. His start before that gave up 6 earned runs and 4 innings against the Minnesota Twins. And the start before that, in 4 2/3, 7 inning, he gave up 4 earned runs against the Philadelphia Phillies, gave up 6 hits in that start as well. 2 bad offenses that Alec Mills has surrendered a lot of runs to. That's all I'm going to say. Not saying the Cardinals are going to start their A players on Sunday. Like I said at the top, I don't think we're going to see a regular 1 through 8 lineup this weekend. I think you're always going to see 2 or maybe even 3 guys get a day off. That's just my prediction, how I feel about it. Is it right? Is it wrong? That's a different discussion, but I just think that is what's going to happen. So prediction about this series is a very, very positive one because of who the Cardinals have, or who the Cardinals are going to be facing on the mound, even though the Cardinals have had a bit of a struggle offensively. But I just think that they're still a very hot team right now. 1 loss in the last 19 games. They went 17-0, 17-1, now they're 18-1 in their last 19. Pretty solid stretch of baseball. And even with the slow offense yesterday, they were still able to find a win. So I think the Cardinals are still able to find a win this weekend and win the series. I'm not going to predict a sweep. They might lose 1 game in the next 3. But again, it's not necessarily the results we're paying attention for in these last 3 games, or not that I'm paying attention for. I'm paying attention for who's getting their reps and who's looking good. So we'll talk about some players that I'd like to see this weekend and what else we can learn from this weekend, as well as a little bit about Adam Wainwright. But first, got to take our final break and tell you about some wonderful sponsors. This first one is BetOnline. They are back and better than ever. Football season is well underway. BetOnline is your number 1 spot for all pro and college action this season. They have a new updated site and interface, and they have even more odds, props, and contests, more ways for you to win money. BetOnline continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website and use your mobile device to sign up today to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Use our promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for your 50% welcome bonus. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, boxing, or your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait and take advantage of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. And hey, Cardinal fans, this is Lucas Smith with an incredible opportunity, an incredible app that everybody who buys gas needs to know about. It's called Get Upside. My listeners and myself are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas for every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and use promo code BASEBALL. You can get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That is 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Just download the app for 50 cent gallon cash back. At people who are driving a lot are making $2,000 to $3,000 a month in cash back, and there's no catch. The cash back gets added directly to your account. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, e-gift card, Amazon, or other brands. Download the free Get Upside app today. Use promo code BASEBALL to get 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. That's code BASEBALL for 50 cents cash back. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen of the day, as this is being dropped on Friday, October the 1st. Happy October, everybody. This weekend, like I mentioned a couple different times, will not see the regulars in the lineup. It's okay. Playoffs are clinched. A couple things I'm looking for. Yadier Molina, I think, needs to see at least one game or get some at-bats this weekend as he continues to nurse that sore shoulder. I would rather not Wednesday, October 6th, be the first time he's seeing the field since Sunday, the 26th of September. That's over a week off of actual playing a baseball game. It'd be nice to see him on the field. Edmundo Sosa also, I think, is somebody that the Cardinals need, because I don't think it's a coincidence that the offense has quieted down Wednesday and Thursday since Paul DeJong got in the lineup. And yes, Paul DeJong had a very nice weekend against Chicago. So before you blow up and say, Lucas, you're just being blind against Paul DeJong had a nice weekend against Chicago. Don't get me wrong. But I still think Edmundo Sosa is the starting shortstop when he gets healthy. So I'd like to see him get healthy very quickly and to see him get some at-bats as well. And other than that, I really just think it's getting the regulars to making sure you find the balance of resting regulars and playing regulars to still win the game, putting your best foot forward. Pitching-wise, Jack Flaherty, I would like to see Jack Flaherty get 2 more outings, have him and Dakota Hudson ready to go out of the bullpen in the wildcard game. I've made that clear. I've talked about that last couple episodes. In my ideal world, well, first of all, my ideal world, Adam Wainwright throws a complete game. But in my ideal world, you have Dakota Hudson and Jack Flaherty for the wildcard game ready out of the bullpen. If you want to talk about making one or both of them starters for the remainder of the postseason, that's fine. But I think those two should be the candidates to be the first out of the bullpen should Adam Wainwright require a quick hook. Adam Wainwright has not shown the need for a quick hook very, very much this season, but in the wild card game, it's a completely different animal. So a quick hook should be necessary for Adam Wainwright. If a quick hook should be necessary for Adam Wainwright, I'd like to see Dakota Hudson and Jack Flaherty be ready to go. Hudson will be because he's making a start today. Flaherty, I would like for them to use him in a way that make him available on Wednesday out of the bullpen. Speaking of Adam Wainwright, he's making the start, like I mentioned, just fine-tuning things in the bullpen. According to an article by Zachary Silver, he's got a 1-3 record or 4.3 ERA in 7 games, 6 starts at Dodger Stadium in his career, 9 games, 8 starts in San Francisco. It's 4-5 with a 3.70 ERA. But as he alludes to in the articles, Silver does that those numbers don't necessarily dictate how he's going to do this season, because this season he's been on another level. A lot of confidence we're going to break down the wild card on Monday and Tuesday's show. And on Wednesday's show, we're going to have all sorts of wildcard breakdown on next week's episode. So on Monday, be sure to tune back in, breaking down the series as well as breaking down playoff rosters, what happened around the league. I want your second listen today to be Locked On MLB. Head over to Locked On MLB with Sully to see what's going on in the rest of the baseball world, because he's got great insight, and he's also joined occasionally by other Locked On MLB hosts. That's going to do it for me today on Friday, October the 1st. Like I said, this should be pretty low-key weekend for the St. Louis Cardinals. Keep everybody healthy, but keep everybody sharp at the same time. Follow me on Twitter at LJFastball. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Cardinals. And be sure to email the show with any questions at lockedoncards@gmail.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked On Cardinals. Hit the bell to be notified when a show goes live, and leave a rating on iTunes as well. Have a great weekend, everybody. Until I talk to you guys on Monday, be sure to stay safe, stay well, and have a fantastic rest of your day.